Hollywood legend Dale Robertson, who played iconic westerns on TV like Tales of Wells Fargo and The Iron Horse, has passed away at the age of 89, confirming what many viewers had suspected. Robertson finally came clean about important details of his work after decades of trying to preserve a certain public image. The question then becomes, what was the truth behind his time in Hollywood? His confession was late, so let's go into it. Away from the glitter of Hollywood, minding his own business in the Army. Unbeknownst to him, what began as a mundane journey to acquire a photograph for his mother would propel him into a realm of celebrity, cowboys, and horses. Even as an actor, Robertson wasn't aiming for stardom. Fate had other ideas, though. All he wanted was a beautiful photo. The California picture studio photographer was in awe by his appearance once he stepped into the room for his image. To hang the painting in the studio's window. The Boy with Green Hair, 1948, Robertson's debut feature film, was a result of this serendipitous meeting. His career took off thanks to that little, uncredited role. Fighting Man of the Plains, 1949, in which he portrayed the iconic Jesse James, catapulted him to stardom a year later. He became famous overnight in westerns thanks to his charismatic and rugged performance. What makes Robertson's accidental rise to western stardom all the more interesting? He got to showcase his horsemanship and stunt talents in around 70% of his film credits, which were westerns. You have to give it to an actor who's really bringing the cowboy character to life on screen. However, Dale Robertson's adventure continued beyond that point. After he became famous in westerns, what happened next? In what ways was he able to juggle his work in film and television? Stay tuned because his story takes an unexpected turn. Dale's early ascent to prominence was greatly aided by his striking similarity to Clark Gable, both in appearance and voice. It was more than a passing analogy. Somehow, he evoked images of Clark Gable's magnetic personality and impeccable taste. Except for Robertson? Very little. Unless it happened very rarely, he confessed he could never hear it. Picture this: someone tells you that you sound like a legendary actor, but you can't hear it. But the intriguing turn comes at this point. Robertson certainly resembled Gable. Another thing he had in common with the Hollywood icon was a connection to Oklahoma. Because of his extensive time in Tulsa, Gable's voice took on a distinctive Oklahoma drawl. And you know what? That accent was also Dale Robertson's. It was predictable that others would see the resemblance, even though Robertson failed to fully comprehend it. So, how does this impact Dale's professional trajectory? Did he merely follow in Gable's footsteps? Or did he demonstrate his own abilities? Keep an eye out for more updates. Robertson wasn't afraid to mention that his acting abilities weren't exactly spectacular. "Nobody has ever thought I'm Ronald Colman," he quipped once. If you didn't know, British actor Ronald Colman was renowned for his superb performance. Robertson obviously didn't consider himself to be on par with such accomplished actors when he made this remark. However, did that work against him or complement his abilities? Even though Dale didn't take the typical route to stardom in the acting industry, he didn't rely solely on his charisma and good looks. Robertson took a different approach than the majority of actors, who looked to acting schools for direction. The value of formal acting instruction was low in his estimation. He preferred to devote his time and energy to mastering the technical elements of filmmaking and becoming an expert behind the camera. Do you ever wonder what an actor could do for a film that doesn't involve acting? That is exactly what Dale accomplished. Robertson immersed herself in the realm of filmmaking while starring in films and TV shows. He enrolled in programs at UC Berkeley to learn everything about filmmaking and hone his acting skills. Robertson put in many hours studying the craft from seasoned Hollywood pros in areas such as editing, cinematography, and even musical composition. Standing in front of the lens wasn't his only concern. He was determined to learn the film industry from every possible perspective. Over the course of his decades-long career, Dale appeared in over 60 films and an incredible 430 television episodes, solidifying his position as the go-to leading man. His rise to prominence as the archetypal Western hero, though, is the truly intriguing part. As an actor, Dale wasn't simply another gorgeous face in the movies. For many of the glitziest leading ladies of the era, he became the ruggedly gorgeous foil. Judy Garland, Jean Crane, Betty Grable, and Mitzi Gaynor are among many more. What kind of on-screen chemistry might he have with these legendary actresses? It's a sign of how he can hold his own among all those glittering stars. But television was where Dale's impact was truly cemented. His breakthrough came in movies, but it was in his weekly television performances that truly won over audiences. Tales of Wells Fargo, in which he portrayed the strong and charismatic lead, was one of his most iconic roles. With Dale at the center of every episode from 1957 through 1961, the show transported audiences throughout the nation to the rugged, wild, and rugged Old West. Have you ever stopped to think about what it is about classic westerns that manages to captivate audiences to this day? It's more than just the plot. What made those stories come to life were personalities like Dale Robertson. Iron Horse followed, in which he played a railwayman. Dale personified the spirit of excitement and peril that accompanied the American frontier from 1966 to 1968 on this episode. But he still wasn't satisfied with that. In 1968, Dale accepted a new challenge by taking over as host of Death Valley Days, a role he maintained until 1972. Consider it. He was involved in more than just Death Valley Days. The show's public face was him, leading viewers on a journey through the past with stories set in the Old West. Wells Fargo's Jim Hardy, one of Dale Robertson's most famous roles, was almost passed over when he was approached with the part. Assume the opportunity to drastically advance your job, why nearly turn it down? Robertson was ambitious. He intended to film in Mexico, away from the television industry. However, producer Nat Holt was determined not to give up. Consistently, he urged Robertson to attempt flying the pilot. Finally, Robertson gave his assent, albeit with a pessimistic outlook. He remembered that nobody would have bought the original script anyhow because it was so terrible. That's quite the audacious claim, isn't it? However, things get more intriguing from this point on. Robertson participated in more than just the pilot instead of simply disappearing. He changed the show's trajectory. Although Wells Fargo's original proposal was lackluster, he grew engrossed in revising it. Jim Hardy's left-handed gun draw, a defining characteristic of the character, was even his idea. What followed is anybody's guess? NBC obtained the rights to air the show. Not only did Robertson reach a turning point, but television westerns reached a new level of popularity. But another turn of events occurs right when you believe the plot will conclude with Wells Fargo's success. A monumental choice was made by Robertson in 1962. He stepped down as a host. Why? Because his co-producers wanted to make the show an hour long, air it in color, and introduce more characters. Could Robertson handle that? To Robertson, it seems like an effort to elevate Wells Fargo, but he has his doubts. From its inception, he has been an integral part of making the show what it is today, a brutal, action-packed western. His methods are effective. The unfiltered depiction of frontier life, the mounting tension and suspense. But now that so many changes are being considered, he can't help but ask, is the show's core being compromised? To him, it's obvious. Not gimmicks or a watered-down format, but strong people and a compelling tale were what made the show what it was. The show's potent relationships can become more complicated with additional characters. Things might drag out if they have an hour of running time, making each episode feel less personal and interesting. A shift to color could detract from the stark emotional reality that black and white storytelling so effectively conveys. Was the show evolving into something new, or had this always been its essence? In that instant, Robertson must decide whether to remain and run the danger of the show losing its essence or to depart. Kept true to the values that Wells Fargo had always stood for. One possible future he could envision is the series continuing for many more seasons, becoming increasingly commercialized while gradually sacrificing the essence that once made it stand out. For Robertson, that was an irreplaceable asset. Therefore, he had to make the difficult choice to leave the show that catapulted him to stardom. While most actors spend their time refining their art and acting techniques, Robertson takes a more relaxed approach. He flat out denies ever having been an actor. He is completely unique. Now, what's the big deal? I think we should examine it more closely. Robertson has consistently identified as a personality rather than an actor throughout his career. He perceived a distinction. Quite large. He never considered himself someone who could really inhabit a fictional role. No, Dale was more concerned with being genuine, with not allowing his alter ego show through in any part he played. For this, he had the utmost respect for the late John Wayne. Why? Reason being, Wayne, similar to Robertson, had a unique style of expressing himself while he was on screen. When playing a part, John Wayne never let himself get completely absorbed by it. Rather, he imbued each role he played with his unique personality. He avoided acting to fit the role. He got into character. The secret of Robertson's success lay in this. Robertson clarified in an interview from 1988 that while actors can alter their personas to suit a role, personalities must adapt their personas to fit their roles. His guiding principle was this: someone with individuality had to express themselves in their own unique way. Robertson stood noticed due to his unfiltered honesty. And it's little wonder he captivated audiences. It's more than an approach to acting, it's a lifestyle. Robertson was the consummate actor. He never once pretended to be someone else in his on-screen appearances. But he added his own charisma, power, and character to the mix. Fans weren't merely witnessing a fictional character, they were witnessing the authentic Dale Robertson in every part he played. However, did this strategy help him succeed or hinder his acting career? If he had adhered more strictly to conventional acting approaches, would he have been even more successful? It grows more interesting as you give it more thought. Was Robertson's everlasting charisma due to his focus on his personality? Perhaps Robertson's determination to remain authentic was what set him apart from the sea of actors who strive to fully immerse themselves in their roles. Robertson skipped out on acting school along with many of his contemporaries because he refused to identify as an actress. He didn't think he needed to work on skills that would diminish his inherent charisma. He went with his gut and his one-of-a-kind screen presence instead. Being able to change his appearance to suit the role he was playing wasn't something he was worried about. Robertson believed that the secret to his success was to always be himself. His portrayal of rough, rugged, and unabashedly real characters in hit TV shows like Iron Horse and Tales of Wells Fargo mirrored his personality. On a peaceful Wednesday in San Diego, I bid farewell to 2013. Dale Robertson, a legend in Hollywood, passed away. His legacy lasted for decades after he passed away at the age of 89. But where is Dale now? Susan, his wife, claims that he died of pneumonia and complications related to lung cancer. With his magnetic screen presence and groundbreaking acting style, Robertson had an impact on innumerable lives. His passing was a watershed moment for his fans and colleagues. The life of Dale Robertson was rich with memorable parts, most notably in westerns. He was a Hollywood and TV sensation thanks to his rugged good looks, rich voice, and easygoing charisma. Robertson worked hard in his career, but he was a family man at heart. At least 4 times throughout his life, he tied the knot. He was very happy after his last marriage to Susan Robbins in 1980. The couple spent a lot of time together. Even though he lived a public life, he treasured the quiet times he spent with his family. Rochelle Robertson and Rebel Lee, Robertson's children, are his surviving relatives. Plus a grandchild. Without a doubt, his loved ones will remember him as a guy who moved many and carry on his work. His death was a blow to the entertainment industry and everyone who knew him on a personal level. Character, power, and tenacity characterized him as a man. Throughout his life, he reinvented himself, remaining loyal to his own personality while adjusting to the ever-changing Hollywood industry. Robertson demonstrated that rising from relative obscurity to stardom in television westerns wasn't about conforming to a certain type. Remaining authentic in the face of adversity was the key. A lot of Dale Robertson's admirers were shocked by a disclosure he made just before he passed away. The limelight and stardom weren't his life's work, despite his reputation as a tough guy in westerns and action flicks. Those were horses. Robertson came clean about the fact that he saved up enough money from his professional acting career to start his own horse farm in Oklahoma, which he duly accomplished. Robertson purchased a ranch in Yukon, Oklahoma, approximately 20 miles west of Oklahoma City, after a long career in Hollywood. And why, instead of pursuing a career in show business, did he opt for a life on the ranch with horses? Robertson's affinity for equines did not blossom into a passion until later years. From a young age on, it had accompanied him. By the age of 10, he had already mastered the art of riding. He began training polo horses while he was just a teenager. Evidently, horses were more than simply a pastime for him. Every person's wish came true. Robertson never fully accepted the concept of being a permanent fixture in the entertainment industry, despite his success in Hollywood. The continual scrutiny was not something he craved. And he was sick of the trend in filmmaking, particularly as it started to become too depressing for him. The Hollywood way of life, with its emphasis on physical appearance, was something he despised. He made a joke about how he was sick of holding his stomach in front of the camera. The glitz and glamour of Hollywood weren't as appealing to him as the rustic ranch life. It was no secret that Robertson wanted out of Hollywood and into a simpler life on a ranch in Oklahoma. Although he had fun when he was in the entertainment industry, he made it plain that this was never his long-term objective. He believed that farming the land and tending to his own ranch with horses was his life's purpose. And that is just what he accomplished. Even before he settled into ranch life in Oklahoma, Robertson had already left an indelible mark on the Western genre, having starred in countless films and television shows. Perhaps more than anything else, though, his acting jobs were his lasting legacy. Apart from the flash and glamour of Hollywood, he was able to follow his aspirations, live his life honestly, and discover genuine happiness.